The price of chocolate has spiked this year, causing Hershey to significantly raise its prices and local chocolate makers to change their products completely.
There's one kind of fudge notably absent this year.
We have discontinued making dark chocolate caramel sea salt because of the chocolate prices.
Owner Isaac Bucher has seen his chocolate costs triple over the past year. For the last 50 years, there hasn't been a York State Fair without the presence of Mr. Ed's Candy Emporium. Its wide selection of chocolates from its Gettysburg location is represented by its assortment of fudge at the fair.
Your favorite chocolate bar might not be the same candy you grew up with. Something's off. The texture feels waxier, the sweetness thins out quickly, and the bite isn't as satisfying as you remember. But why do these small changes feel so noticeable now?
After a massive stretch of hot weather in West Africa hindered the harvest of cocoa beans in the region where nearly all of them are grown.
What a lot of our friends that are in the chocolate industry are doing.
The prices have affected Pennsylvania's massive chocolate industry, from the small to the biggest of them all. Bucher says he and others in the chocolate industry have been forced to change their product line due to the higher costs.
Maybe it's a chocolate-covered Twinkie, where the bulk of it is a Twinkie with some chocolate on it.
Stick with us, because the answer lies in a quiet war of cost-cutting, reformulations, and hidden supply chain adjustments that reshape the very chocolate you thought you knew. What exactly is happening to Hershey's, Reese's, and Milky Way? And why are fans calling it a betrayal? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
Nestle is selling its US candy brands to Ferrero, the company that makes Nutella. Ferrero is reportedly spending $2.8 billion on the deal, which includes Nestle's Butterfinger and Babe Ruth brands. Nestle is still a heavy hitter in the food industry, as well as one of the major players in the invention of milk chocolate. It would be a big acquisition for the Italian-based company. If the deal goes through, Ferrero would be the third biggest chocolate seller in the US. Last year, the company also purchased Fannie Mae Confections and the Ferrara Candy Company.
Your chocolate bar may look identical to the one you bought 10 years ago, but the second you take a bite, something feels off. The snap isn't as sharp, coating doesn't melt the same way, and the sweetness fades into an oily film that doesn't quite deliver the satisfaction you used to expect. These are not tricks of memory or changes in your taste buds. Fans of Hershey's, Reese's, and Nestle Crunch haven't been imagining the difference. The candy itself has changed, not only in what goes into it, but also in how it's made.
Hershey announced yesterday that it would raise chocolate prices in the low double-digit range in response to the new costs. Its president said earlier in the year that the company would use methods such as shrinkflation to help mitigate the effects of the cost. For now, Bucher and his fellow chocolate makers are making tough choices until prices normalize, as they may be projected to do in the next several years.
We are readying options to execute, including pricing, price pack architecture, demand shaping, and sourcing strategies to mitigate inflation and protect our margins over the long term.
Hershey's is one of the most obvious cases. The company once relied heavily on cocoa butter to give its bars that signature creamy melt. But cocoa butter costs more than other fats, and that price difference is hard to ignore when millions of bars roll off the line every day. So Hershey started swapping it out for cheaper vegetable oils.
We are being patiently waiting for the prices to kind of normalize and go back down. There is hope. I look at a product and I say, we've been charging $3 for this piece. Would somebody pay $4 for it? And if the answer is no, then we stop making it.
The result is a waxy coating on your tongue instead of the slow, rich melt that true cocoa butter provides. It's not an accident, and it's not your imagination. The formula was deliberately reconfigured to stretch margins and speed up production. Nestle Crunch is another example. For decades, its biggest appeal was right in the name, a firm, crackling crunch that broke clean with every bite. But that satisfying snap has dulled. The airy crisps inside are now covered with a thinner layer of chocolate, and the manufacturing process itself changed. Faster cooling times leave the texture fragile, more like a crumble than the crisp foundation people associated with it. That snap used to be the defining feature, and now it has become another casualty of efficiency. Reese's peanut butter cups underwent a quieter shift, but longtime fans caught it right away. The filling used to be a bit gritty, with crushed peanuts lending a texture closer to homemade peanut butter. Now it's smoother, almost paste-like. Stabilizers and oil blends were added to make the filling sit longer on store shelves without separating. But that change stripped away what made Reese's stand out. It wasn't just sweet peanut paste wrapped in chocolate. It was a contrast of salty, crumbly peanut butter softened by sweet chocolate. That crumbly character is largely gone, replaced with a homogeneous blend that feels blander and less authentic. The same pattern shows up in Milky Way and Baby Ruth. When you peel one open today, the caramel doesn't stretch and weigh down the nougat the way it used to. It's lighter, thinner, and engineered to settle faster during mass production. By streamlining the shaping and reducing the density of the fillings, factories can push out more units per hour while cutting ingredient costs. But the indulgent weight that made them feel decadent is missing. What you get instead is lighter and easier to package, but unremarkable. Butterfinger's reformulation caused the loudest outcry. When a new company took control, they promised to update the flavor for a modern generation of candy lovers. What longtime fans tasted, however, was a different candy altogether. The bold, shattering crunch was softened into a dense, chewy interior, and the peanut butter and caramel-like flavor that once left flakes stuck in your teeth carried a faint citrus note instead of its familiar roasted taste. It was presented as innovation, but to purists, it felt like the flavor had been erased, replaced with something that carried the brand's name, but not its identity. So what pushed all these changes? The driving force isn't hidden. Factories are under constant pressure to shave off a few cents per bar. That means extending shelf life to cut down on returns, using cheaper fillers to reduce reliance on true cocoa and nuts, and accelerating production lines for higher output. Each decision on its own seems small, but together they hollow out the product, leaving consumers with an imitation of their memory rather than the real thing. This is not contamination in the sense of a virus or bacteria creeping into your candy. The hidden infection comes from relentless cost-cutting, from efficiency taking priority over flavor. What was once marketed as indulgence has been streamlined into a machine-made substitute, where every oil blend, thinner coating, and softened texture marks another step away from what these chocolates once meant. What feels like contamination is not a hidden germ, but the steady spread of cost-cutting. Each substitution, each reformulation, strips away the traits that once made these chocolates unique. The slow infection isn't a foreign disease at all. It's efficiency replacing authenticity. Our favorite candies aren't disappearing from shelves, but their character is dissolving piece by piece under calculated reformulation. The choice now falls outside the factory. Do people accept this altered version as normal? Or will they demand a return to chocolate that tastes the way it once did, before profit margins redefine what sweetness should be?